In this video, I want to show you that weed control doesn't have to necessarily be expensive to be effective. I'm going to show you two cheap products mixed together. I'm going to spray some weeds and we're going to show you how well it works. Now don't get me wrong, I use some expensive products and I think quality is better than just spraying something and hoping that it works. But sometimes you can use inexpensive products and still get outstanding results. So I'm going to show you these two products that I've been spraying for my customers on their Bermuda grass lawns, but we can talk about where you can use these products, because it's not just for Bermuda. I want to tell you why I'm doing it, the time I'm doing it, and why I'm doing it on certain yards and not other yards. And then again, I've got some weeds here. We're going to spray them. We're going to see if it actually works. So let me show you the two products and then we'll spray. And but I want to talk to you about why I'm doing it, so you're not just copying what I do, but you're understanding why I'm doing it. So lately I've been working with this setup. I've got my spray rig on the back, my gram spray rig, and what I've been doing with the split tank on the big side, I've been having it mixed where I could just spray it straight out of the hose reel. On the small side, I've had it mixed where I could spray it with this small machine. This is a back slope and I have got it mixed, and what I do is I put blue dye in that side but not in that side. So when I flip those valves, these three valves right here, I flip them over and I know when it turns blue, it's spraying from this side. When it's clear, it's spraying from that side. So I've already got it mixed up and I need to use this machine for something else. So I thought, you know what, let me show people how well this works. So the two products I'm using, so these are the two products. This is Manor. It's got the active ingredient Metsulfuron. This is Dismiss. It's got the active ingredient sulfentrazone. Maybe I said it better the second time. So the Manor, it is so cheap when you use this. Now it's hard to mix up in like a little 2-gallon or backpack. I tell people that all the time, but it's not hard to mix up in a big tank. The rate is so low. I use this typically at 1/4 of an ounce per acre. Sometimes I use 1/3 of an ounce per acre. You could go up to 1/2, but typically I'm just using it as 1/4 of an ounce per acre. So that is such a tiny rate, and it comes with a little measuring cone. So I got to do some calibration and figure out how many acres I can cover with the amount of volume there, and then I'll put it in there at just that really low rate. And at that rate, you're talking about 3 or 4 cents per 1,000 square feet. So to spray a 10,000 square foot lawn, you're looking at 30 or 40 cents. I mean, it is so cheap. And then Dismiss, they put this on sale last year before, something like that. And it was like a big rebate to where I believe after the rebate, this was like $40. So I'm using it at the max rate of 12 ounces per acre, and this at 1/4 ounce per acre. Now I've got this blind side here. Why don't I have that here? Is because you see the active ingredient on blindside, well, even if it won't, the active ingredients on blindside are sulfentrazone and metsulfuron. So blindside is basically these two products combined. So you might say, you hear people talk about, I'm rolling my own blindside, I guess you'd say. So that's what I'm doing. I'm spraying the Manor and the Dismiss, put the surfactant in there with it, and I've got it mixed up in here on this machine, and we're gonna spray some weeds. Now, for me, what I'm doing is I'm spraying this mostly on Bermuda yards, and I'm trying to do it before the grass turns green, because I'll say this, the Dismiss in particular, if you spray it with a ride-on machine when the grass is green and there's dew on the ground, don't ask me all the reasons why this happens, but it can leave brown tire tracks in the yard. So if it's green grass, I like to at least wait till it's dry or don't use a ride-on machine. But I decided, you know what, if I get out there before the grass turns green, which I was able to do for most of my yards when it's still dormant, if there's any turf damage, you know, just kind of burning the leaves, it's very temporary typically, then it wouldn't be noticeable because the grass is brown. So, and it's not going to cause any turf damage, I don't think, when it's dormant. But I was just trying to remove that risk. So that's what I've been doing, is spraying it. Now my grass is turning just a little bit green, but we're still gonna go for it. And I'm not spraying it in the morning, I'm spraying in the evening, so I'm not so worried about it causing any kind of damage. So we're gonna see how well this combination works. A very, very, very cheap combination that will control a lot of weeds. So I'm doing a few things on this. So what's the benefits of this combination? Well, look at this. Think about weeds like this. Wild onions and wild garlic in the yard. The Metsulfuron is great for that, and you mix in the sulfentrazone, you get some quick burn down on that. weeds like this, and this is what I'm going to be kind of our target weeds for this video. Just some big broadleaf weeds in the yard. You know, different broadleaf weeds. We got hairy bittercress over here. So we're going to see, will it just knock them out? And we've got more over here. So we're going to spray these weeds, just run over it. And you can imagine with a ride-on machine how quickly you can spray them. There's more over here, more over here. So we're gonna just spray a lot of these broadleaf weeds, just like some dandelions and things, and we're gonna see how well it works. Now, I haven't been doing this on my zoysia lawns because one, they don't get as much weed pressure, and two, I didn't want to delay the green up. If they were trying to green up a little bit, and I just didn't want to take that risk, so I was putting a little bit of fertilizer on them instead of spraying this. I was mostly doing this on my Bermuda lawns, but you could have did it on other grass types. Now, I would be very careful with this on a centipede lawn because Metsulfuron in general, when the centipede is trying to, in transition, trying to green up in the springtime, it can turn the yard yellow and very much delay the green up. So I wouldn't recommend this on a centipede lawn, especially during spring transition. And for me, I was mostly doing it on Bermuda. But the other thing I want to mention is why am I doing this? Well, because spraying that high rate of sulfentrazone, you wouldn't have to go that high, but I figured I'm gonna go ahead and max the rate out since I was doing it while the grass was still mostly dormant. But doing that is supposed to, in theory here, we're supposed to get some serious suppression of sedges. So I'm thinking Kalinga, yellow nut sedge, purple nut sedge. I'm hoping we're going to get some serious suppression where I don't have to deal with those later in summer. So that's an added benefit we're not going to see in today's video. But as I'm spraying these yards, I'm hoping that I won't have to deal with sedges for a while because of this combination I'm spraying. So let me get on the machine and we're going to spray these weeds, and then we'll come back and check and see how well it works with this dirt cheap combination. All right, I sprayed the vast majority of those broadleaf weeds. We're not gonna see like crazy fast action on the onions and garlic, but trust me, this combination definitely works on that. The Metsulfuron will knock them out. You may not see it till the following year and they may not come back. But the broadleaf weeds, I wanna see how fast it is. It's gonna depend greatly on how warm the weather is. The weather's been warming up. It was in the, I would say, 70s today. So I'm thinking we're gonna get some pretty fast action. We'll see, we'll check back and we'll see how well this works. Well, it's been almost 72 hours, 3 days since we sprayed the weeds. Let's take a look and see if anything's happening. We got down to about 30 degrees last night. I'm not too worried about that. It's been warm today, cold yesterday. But let's see what we got here. We've got some brown color. I'm wondering if that's, I don't think that would be from the frost because these plants probably been out here when it's been a lot colder than 30 degrees. So we're getting some, you know, twisting of the leaves and looking sick and turning brown. Let's see what else we got here. Again, we sprayed the Metsulfuron sulfentrazone combo. We sprayed this big section over here. And sometimes that's what you see. These are very large, mature weeds. You can see they're kind of bowing their heads here in defeat, I guess you would say. Looking not so happy. I think over the next few days we'll get some more definite action, I would imagine, especially if the weather's warmer. So initial signs are promising, nothing remarkable after 72 hours. If it would have been, you know, warmer temperatures, it would have probably worked faster. But just wanted to give you a look, early look what it looks like. We'll check back soon and see what it looks like in a few more days. Let's give it some more time and we'll check back and look at it later on. So it's been a couple of weeks since we sprayed the weeds. Let's check on them and see what's going on. Now we've got some weeds that are sprayed and not sprayed, and just wanted to show you what they kind of look like. And you get a little bit of that discoloration from the dismiss, and then the Metsulfuron can be slow to work. So this is kind of what we got, is they just have an overall look that's not the most impressive results I've ever seen, but just wanted to show you what they look like, and we can continue to give this some more time. Let's see if we can find some more that we sprayed. There's an example of a dandelion. They're just kind of turning yellow and looking sick, but not exactly wilting up and turning brown. And I think different herbicides work differently. Some of them are going to give you a lot faster results. Some of them work through different modes of action. So sometimes you get like twisting and curling of the leaves, and then they turn all crunchy brown and are basically look totally dead. Where these not getting that kind of results. I think when you compare that with a weed that's not been sprayed, you see certainly the difference in the color there of this weed versus the one we sprayed. Let's give it a little bit more time. We'll check back and see what's going on with the weeds. All right, it's been several more days. I want to show you what the weeds look like. I'm gonna do something drastic that I think needs to be done. Not really drastic, but I just want to see that this work or not work, because I want to know before we get to the end of the video. So let me show you the weeds, and then I'll tell you what we're gonna do. So here they are. Here's the weeds, and they are continuing the discoloration process. Now the Metsulfuron, one thing I know about it, it can be slow to work. The sulfentrazone or dismiss can be very fast to work, but it gives you that initial burn down. So I mean, I think it's working. I know when you spray wild onions and wild garlic like this with the Metsulfuron, they'll sort of just sit there, but when you mow them, a lot of times they don't grow back. And so I'm wondering if that's what we're looking at. These weeds are basically almost dead, and they're just sitting there, but they're very mature at the time we sprayed them. They're discolored. They look worse every time I look at them. And I'm thinking if we cut them, they won't come back. So what I want to do, call me crazy, but I think we're going to cut some of these down, and then the other ones we're not going to cut down. The ones we cut down, I want to see do they grow back or not within like a week or so, and then eventually I'm going to cut my whole yard. And then the ones that we don't cut, I want to see do they can continue to get worse. So let's do that. I'm going to chop them down with a string trimmer. All right, I got them cut. We're gonna check back. We'll give it a little bit more time and wrap up the video. All right, we're wrapping up the video for a couple reasons. One, because I think we've seen what we need to see. I want to show you the final results. And then two, I need to cut the grass. So we need to, move on with this. So let's see what it looks like. It's been about another week since we cut this down with a string trimmer. Let me show you what we got. All right, and this is kind of what I was thinking. And again, I'm not saying I'm disappointed with this, but I was expecting a little more visible results. I think it worked, but it was fairly slow. And after I've cut this, not much is growing back, except for there's one guy that said he was gonna grow back. But most of it's kind of stayed lower, and I think it'll die out being a cool season weed. It was just is what it is. And you can see the ones that were not sprayed, they're growing like crazy. So if you think it didn't work, I mean, here's ones that didn't spray. They're blooming and everything else. So it definitely worked. And same thing with the dandelions. I mean, you can see like they're definitely sick and stopped growing. And I mean, a lot of good things happen from a weed control perspective. But, well, I guess let me show you a healthy dandelion, one that didn't get sprayed. So it is what it is. It's a cheap combination. There's other benefits, like I said, sedge suppression with this, quick burn down on some weeds. But on a mature weed like that, don't expect it just to curl up and die super fast, because we didn't get that in this experiment, but nonetheless effective. Hope it's been helpful showing you what it looks like. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. Also go to lawncarelife.com if you want to get into weed control and fertilization like me. I've got a lot of resources over there, including the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy. We'll see you guys in the next video.